It's been over a month since Kingdom Hearts 4 was announced. During that entire 20th anniversary event, we got a ton of news, of course. Lots of info about Kingdom Hearts 4, and we also got this 20th anniversary Q&A, a lot of them being about Kingdom Hearts 3 and Union Cross, and some of the story decisions made in those games and how they may affect the future. One question in particular that I wanted to discuss today is about Roxas and Xion's return in Kingdom Hearts 3 and how it maybe wasn't supposed to happen. The question and answer goes like this. Is there anything else you've changed in response to fan feedback? Roxas and Xion's return in Kingdom Hearts 3. I was struggling with the issue until the very last minute and even considered a scenario where they wouldn't be revived at all. However, everyone's feelings were so strong that I felt I had no choice but to bring them back. There are parts of the story that I won't budge on, but when I'm having trouble, I will consider what everyone is saying. Which, when I first read this, my first response was good. I love Roxas, I love Xion, I love the whole Days trio, like a lot of people. Xion being a top 5 character for me for a while now. I was so happy to see them come back, and that was easily one of my favorite moments in Kingdom Hearts 3. Not just Kingdom Hearts 3, but the series as a whole. If you want to talk about like good conclusions to a story arc, to a saga, that was one of the pivotal moments in this Dark Seeker saga that I was looking forward to the most. Seeing the conclusion to that story was so good.
Don't do this. Wait. It's all right. You can stop now. It's all right. Xion.
But from the sounds of this, based on the question, the response to the question, it seems like Nomura had it written at some point that they weren't going to return. Maybe even to the point where he wasn't going to bring them back at all, but was still wavering on it. He knew that, okay, this is going to be a tough pill to swallow if I don't bring them back. So he went online and probably read some fans' feedback, saw how popular they were, and was like, man, maybe I should do it. I feel like if I had to imagine what was a deciding reason behind this, if Sora didn't disappear at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, because before, during a Kingdom Hearts 3 premiere event when the game first got played by people, I remember Kingdom Hearts 3's ending would be a hard pill to swallow or something along those lines. It would be something hard to accept, and it sure was, for multiple reasons, but a big reason being because Sora disappeared at the end. KH3 left on a cliffhanger of what happened to Sora, rather than an ending that's a little bit more conclusive like Kingdom Hearts 2's or something. Sora disappearing is a big reason why the ending didn't hit as hard for some people. So I can imagine that if he didn't bring the Days trio back on top of having Sora disappear, the ending structure would have been extremely different. Imagine like not everyone in the Wayfinder trio returned, like Terra stayed gone or something. Xion and Roxas didn't come back, it was just Lee there. And then on top of that, Sora disappeared. Not a single trio would have had a satisfying ending in the game. Everyone would have basically failed, or they might have beat the organization, but every trio would have not had all their friends there. They would have had a lot of losses, which I'm sure some people are very into. The biggest reason there's some people who didn't want Roxas and Xion to return is because they felt like Roxas' story was ending with KH2. They felt like he was fine at the end of KH2. He was happy, he was good with everything. And also another big reason is that they wanted death to feel like it mattered a little bit more in the Kingdom Hearts series, which admittedly, it's not something that is the most prevalent in the franchise. I mean, Kingdom Hearts, you jump through so many hoops just to die, it's like, okay. I think the first characters we see actually like die or perish like permanently, and even then we don't know if it's permanent yet, are a lot of Union Cross characters. Characters like Ephemer seem like they're going to be gone for good for the most part. They serve their role in the story. Also characters like Xehanort and Ericus, who I think are for the most part done. We might see other versions of Xehanort, like I could see young Xehanort coming back and having some role in the series, but I think Old Man Xehanort's done. I don't think Old Man Xehanort is going to make any major return. He's not going to be the big villain again anytime soon, not in the next arc at least. But I do think he'll always have a big impact on the story. But that's another driving factor in why some people wanted those stories to to end in tragedy, so those moments could like mean something a little more. I mean, for a long time period, a lot of people felt like Xion's death was pretty permanent for the most part. We didn't know if Xion would come back or not, or if there was a way for Xion and her memories to be brought back. Luckily for Xion fans, there was, due to some crazy stuff with the replica program, and us finding out that Nobodies actually can form hearts. They don't really start off with hearts, but through all those days of them sitting out on the clock tower, bonding with each other, talking about, you know, their day, their missions, they became friends. And as they became friends, best friends, they started forming hearts of their own. Roxas started to form his own heart, his own being, his own personality, own traits. Same thing with Xion, and that was something that was very much hinted at in Days, but wasn't something that was made that aware in Kingdom Hearts 2. There's arguments you can make for it here and there, with how Nobodies constantly contradict themselves, with saying they don't have hearts, they can't feel anything, but then you see little scenes like with Sayax at the end, where he's looking at Kingdom Hearts and is like, where is my heart? Or things like with Axel in that game, where he clearly is showing that he cares about something, sacrificing himself just for a chance to meet up with Roxas again, or be somewhat around him. I feel like the series since 2 was always leaning towards Nobodies being able to form hearts of their own, or be able to be their own people eventually. That being the hopeful nature that the series always likes to tell its stories with. And these characters, these tiny little moments, can have big impacts on the other character in the room. And that is pretty much Roxas, Xion, and Axel's story to a T. A game where you're doing a lot of pretty repetitive missions here and there, with them also ending in a similar way, with you going on the clock tower eating ice cream. Sometimes it would have a lengthy dialogue segment, other times it would just be a very tiny moment, little comments, and you look off at the sunset, and you kind of start to appreciate it a lot. They made me emotionally invested in 3 characters who were just sitting down on the clock tower a lot of the game. And for the most part, that was because of the dynamics that those characters had with each other and how genuine their friendship felt. Like, it felt like they had some of the most genuine friendship in the entirety of the Kingdom Hearts series, which is why a lot of people are so attached to them, and probably why so many people wanted them brought back. I definitely wonder when Nomura decided to officially bring them back, because Kingdom Hearts 3 was still in early development by 2013, 2014, and if you remember the cutscene from Dream Drop Distance where Sora's in the world never was, and he's meeting all of these people before he, you know, goes to sleep. He sees Naminé, he sees Xion, he sees Roxas, all these people who his heart has connections with. And it really does feel like it's leaning towards all those characters' return. Even at the end of the game, a lot of people still to this day speculate about who the 3 hearts inside Sora was, or who the 3rd heart was at least. And the answer is at the end of Dream Drop Distance, in that segment where Riku, you're inside of Sora's heart, and the 3 people Riku talks to are Ventus, Roxas, and Xion. And Ansem alludes to their awakening, that they can come back, they can be real people. So in my head, I'm thinking he had to have had this decided by Dream Drop Distance at least, that he was going to bring them back. But I know he was still writing the scenario, the ending for Kingdom Hearts 3, towards the middle of its development. So it's a very interesting thing to think about. Like he said though, there are parts of the story that he won't budge on, and I feel like we've already seen a couple of those. But I'm sure we'll see many more of those moments in the future, especially with this upcoming arc. Like, I'm sure Yozora is probably something Nomura won't budge on. He's probably going to tell the story he wants for Yozora. Same thing I could see with the Master and the Foretellers. I think this saga is going to be very wild. But he let the fans have their moment with the Days trio, and I'm sure there was a little bit of that with the Wayfinder trio as well. Maybe there were little thoughts of not bringing Aqua back, not bringing Terra back, but every character got their happy ending in KH3, except for Sora and Kairi. And I'm sure Riku's sad too. Basically the opposite of Kingdom Hearts 2's ending. Everyone got a happy ending. The Wayfinder trio, although Ericus has passed on, they got a happy moment. They got brought back together again. They're back in the land of departure. Ventus even has Kirthi with them. The Days trio, they have everyone back. Roxas got everything. Hayner, Pence, Olette, Xion, and Axel. Axel even got Sayax back. Even Ansem got some of his apprentices back and atoned for what he did a little bit. But Sora made one decision to save Kairi, and he's the only one not there at the end. Not really, at least. Or maybe he disappeared as that scene was happening. Maybe Kairi knew that those were Sora's last moments, and he disappeared right before her eyes, which I think actually would be pretty heartfelt. I could see them explaining it in that way in the future. But tell me some of your thoughts about this. How do you feel about characters returning, not returning in the Kingdom Hearts series? Are you for it if it makes a good story out of it? Which I feel like personally for the Days trio, it made for a good story, made for a satisfying ending to their arc. Or do you prefer that some characters, you know, stay gone and aren't around anymore? I'm interested to hear some of your thoughts in the comment section. But that will about do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, share the video with a friend or a family member, and last but not least, if you have not already and want to become a part of the union, all you have to do is that red subscribe button down below. My name is Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, you guys. Bye.
Now she's a daydreamer.